Hello and welcome to another Tabitha's Glass Emporium YouTube video, and we're reactions month, and I realise that some of you might not know what reactions are. So for those of you who don't, here's a quick crash course. So Bullseye have various different glasses that react with each other. They have a fantastic table. This is in their catalogue, but you can find it online. And it sort of shows that some of the glasses react with the other glasses. And you get, there's a Bullseye kind of tip sheet about getting reactions. So reactive cloud with blue opal, light cyan with reactive cloud, and you get all sort of various different reactions with glasses and also with silver foil. And then there are the kind of, they've also made 3 reactive glasses: reactive cloud opal, reactive ice clear, and red reactive. Red reactive does what it kind of sounds. With the reaction between the 2 glasses goes a red colour. I was fascinated by this and decided to create samples of every single possible reaction in Bullseye like this. So this is, you know, one of the things, light aquamarine, and it's basically what happens when light aquamarine interacts with any other possible glass that it can. So light aquamarine is a copper bearing. Copper bearings can react with sulfur bearing, and they can also react with reactive glass. So we've got all the sulfur bearing ones, transparent, and then we've also got with reactive ice cloud, reactive thing, and then also silver capped, silver uncapped, reactive cloud with silver trap between it with aqua. So there's lots and lots of different possibilities with reactions, and I've done these tests. I'm actually selling this month. It's a one-off. For this month you can get it for €2, and you'll get a PDF of photograph of all of these and all the possible reactions. It's an amazing deal. There's a mammoth amount of work. It was nearly 3,000 samples, guys. It's sort of, you know, hundreds and hundreds of pages long, but you can kind of see all these different reactions and the possibilities you can get. So if you go to my website, if you buy any other product for this month, you can get it for €2. Otherwise, it'll be €10 next month. So reactions, there's massive possibilities. These are a few. Put them down here for jewellery. I thought I'd do a kind of jewellery workshop and show you kind of various ideas to make some nice jewellery. It's a slightly long video. I keep getting ideas and then I want to add them in, and if it's a bit disjointed or convoluted, I'm sorry, but that's because how my brain works. I also have a tendency to call dense white and French vanilla dense vanilla and French white, so please don't comment. I know I do it, I don't know why my brain. Anyway, we'll have a look at these and let's see how we get on. So looking at jewellery, there are possibilities with reactive jewellery are endless. You know, they are fantastic and endless, and the best thing to do is sort of, you know, to just experiment, try things out. And then if you find something you like, then write the recipe down, and so you know how to repeat it. We're going to just show you a few ideas here to kind of get your juices going and think them up. So we'll start with these 2, which we've already made up. This is 6mm of fibre paper with a circle cut out. Now, we did another project that you may or may have not seen, which was using strips of dense white with French vanilla powder on, and we got quite a lot of offcuts left. So this is basically 3mm of dense white and then a layer of French vanilla powder tack fused on. And we put those here. And then in this one we put, you can see they're just cut with mosaic nippers, some semicircles, two thick of those, of turquoise. And then this is a French vanilla stringers that we sell, Little Tree. And then this one is the same dense white and French vanilla. And then these are these kind of floral landscape lines that we're selling as well in the top half. So this idea is the idea of using copper. Now I love the reaction you get with copper with red transparent glass. 1122 is the code. So the idea is just to take a base of 1122 red glass, and then with this one I've used some of these punch things to punch in the copper. And I'm basically just going to put some gel glue down and then just putting a few of these on, and then I've also punched them just tiny wee. It's actually kind of, it's a poppy paw hole punch, and you get these very small little bits. I'm going to put a couple of them down as well. Tricky to get off. I think will be nice in the design. Okay, so once everything's down and in place, just going to cap it with a piece of 3mm Tack. So the next one is just a bit of silver reaction. I'm just putting a bit of Tack at the bottom to kind of bring up my 3mm. I'm cutting it slightly smaller than the red, as I want to make sure the red really encases the Tack and I can't see any of it. Then I've just put a piece of silver on top, and then I'm putting a piece of Tack that covers up some of the silver. So you're going to see the difference between a reaction between where the silver is burning off on the outside and fuming, and you get the kind of fuming marks, and where it's covered with the glass. And I'm going to do a second one sort of similar. This is with cyan. I really like cyan in these. I think the reaction with cyan and silver is really pretty. Again, I'm capping a bit of it. And I'm just going to put on top of this one a few murrine. They're quite dark, these murrine, and they're just going to sort of float on top. And again, I'm wanting some of them, just going to put a bit of glue to hold it all in place. I'm putting some, the glass will cover some of the silver and some of it won't be. So you get some of the kind of look of the silver capped, but you also get a look of the silver uncapped, which I think is quite a pretty combination. So I also quite like doing pieces where you've got kind of one colour glass one side and one coloured glass the other side. I'm lucky because I've got machines and I can kind of cut the edge off and you really see it. So I've got a piece of orange and then a piece of robin's egg. Keep calling it duck egg, robin's egg. And then I'm just putting, these are our kind of reaction, red reaction star XL murrine. It's a hollow one on top, which will also react. And then I want to do a similar thing, but using turquoise and petrified wood, which is a really lovely combination together, because where you've got the kind of the red reactive ice, that goes red, so you've got a reaction there. And then, but also I'm going to put a few French vanilla murrine, which will also react down the middle like so. So you sort of get a sort of double reaction. Now you have got kind of two halves of this, so you just need to just make sure it's sort of pushed together so it all fuses together. So a little bit of strip construction. I've got some turquoise. I'm just cut it into a kind of thin bit, and I'm going to cut them into there. I'm not worrying whether they're all the same length or not. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to damn this project. I'm just going to put them in. And then I've got some red reactive ice here. I'm just going to do 3 pieces of that. And then you can do a little kind of strip construction. So all you do is put them on there, and I'm going to do like that, and then a couple of that, and a couple more like that. I'll do just one last this and put them all together, and they will just all melt together, but you'll kind of have this view through and a reaction. So this is a lovely reaction between cloud reactive opal and silver with aqua blue on top, 1408 on top. So if you take a piece of cloud and just put it down, and then you need to, you know, you can cut your things however you want. Here I've done it with just sort of squares, which I quite like, but you could also, with a stamp, oh, I've got the paper as well. If you want to do something for someone you love for Valentine's Day. Oh. Now it's stuck to my finger. There we go. I'm just going to make a couple more. And then you just cap it with this, like so. It's pretty tricky. And then you get this sort of interesting, the silver goes this blue colour and you get this fuming around, which I think will look really interesting with the hearts. So this is just, I kind of use these little things to hold when I'm using kind of stuff with frit. This is, and I'm putting some the irid flip frit in. This one was interesting. So this is a kind of thing that when you put light amber or dark amber tint with silver, it goes a sort of greeny colour. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I quite like it, but on the flip side, I think that's really interesting. So I'm going to try and recreate that. So I put the irid frit in first. Then I've got some medium cloud, reactive cloud. If I had coarse, I would use coarse. I don't have any coarse, so I'm just using medium. Then I'm sort of sprinkling that liberally over the top. Then I'm going to take, I've got this sort of scrappy pot of silver, and I'm just going to put a few bits of silver in here and there. And then I'm topping it with a bit of dark amber tint. So this one's a sort of just, you know, quite kind of standard reactions. I could do it in one of these, but I'm just going to kind of pile the frit on. Piling the frit on, putting a bit of silver again. And I'm going to put a bit more. This is aqua blue. The first one was the light cyan. Aqua blue and a little bit of turquoise. just want a couple of bits of clear. This is just Texas scrap. As you can see, it's quite kind of haphazard, not really worrying too much. I'm going to try and put these back on. And then that will go in the kiln like that. So this one I'm going to put a bit of French vanilla poppy in, put some French vanilla frit, put a bit of dense white, get a bit of reaction there. And then you also get a very small reaction between French vanilla and salmon or petal pink. Now guys, I'm really sorry, on my reaction chart there's an error and it doesn't say there is a reaction, but if you look closely there is. Basically on my reaction chart it doesn't say there's a reaction between French vanilla and dense white, which everyone knows that there is. So, apologies, it was a lot of reactions and a lot of things, and there are a few mistakes. So this kind of goes on like this. Oh. A bit more French vanilla on top. I've got to make sure you can see the poppy. And basically that goes in like that. And it's a very kind of light, subtle reaction for this one. Nothing enormous, but quite nice and subtle. And then you can do something really simple. This is a piece of French vanilla. This is a piece of turquoise, a piece of aqua blue, and then putting 3 vortex reaction murrine on top, which have got French vanilla and aqua blue in them. But they'll have a reaction between the French vanilla and the aqua blue here when they're full fused together. This one is a stack. So you just literally alternate pieces of glass that react together. So we've got a sulfur bearing red, then a copper bearing blue, which is 2 mil, a sulfur bearing red, excuse me. Put some glue there. And copper bearing blue. And then a sulfur bearing stringer on top. Can go like that, there. These can be really nice and interesting once you fire them together as a whole. If you then cut them in half and then fire them again, kind of dubbed together like that, they can be really interesting as another kind of idea, and you can kind of really nicely see the reaction, or you just have it as a pendant like that. So it's all ready to go in the kiln now in a full fuse, and we'll see how they turn out. So here they are out of the kiln, the samples that we made yesterday and the kind of ones I made before. I wanted to show things. This is the reactive opal. I kind of really love this with the silver. Then this was the copper. You can see my first fired sample, it kind of went this pinkish metallic sheen, and then the second fired sample, it's gone this kind of amazing blue sheen. So it's a tough one with reactions. You never know what you're going to get each time. There's another example here. These are two the same. This one, the silver went a much more kind of sort of dull colour, and it's not nearly as nice. And I've tried to work the edges and tried to make it into an interesting piece of jewellery. Sometimes I think you just should throw it in the bin. I probably should have with that one. Whereas I love this original one that I did, and I would happily kind of, you know, wear it without working. I'm very lucky, guys. I have a lot of equipment here. I have grinders, I have saws, so I can work the edge of things. But the difference between a kind of, you know, a hobby piece of jewellery and a good piece of jewellery is the coal working you do on it. invest in time. You can hand cut things. You can, but you know, and with quite kind of, you know, not very much money, you can buy kind of good grinders and stuff. But yeah, working your jewellery, taking the time. The pieces, like I've cut the edges off, I will have to now go in for a fire polish. So like these that were in the fibre paper, I've ground the edges off, and they will now go in for a fire polish. I love these. They're kind of so beautiful, the kind of reactions around the edge. Really, really pretty. And these kind of crazy landscape lines sort of cool that way up as well. But that's another thing to think about with jewellery. When someone's wearing a necklace, in fact I'm going to see if I can get one out. You're wearing a necklace. Quite often necklaces flip over, and that's not terribly attractive, whereas that is much more attractive. So thinking about jewellery working double-sided is a kind of nice thing to do. So that's what I sort of like about these, is they work by the sides double-sided. Now these, again, they're ones that I would definitely put a hole in and use grommets, and I'll show you that once these are fire polished. You put grommets in, and then you end up with a really kind of a double-sided. You know, you might want to wear it this side where you can see a bit of the irid scrap, the irid frit, sorry, or you might want to wear it this side. I quite like both depending on your outfit. And the same with this one. You know, this is having had the sides worked, and this is as it came out of the kiln. Again, this one is a good example. By taking a bit off the edge of the side, you reveal the kind of amazing reaction line, which can be great in these. The reaction is so subtle, I'm not sure you can even see it. But again, just showing the difference between making the edges nice and kind of smooth, or as it comes out of the kiln. The stack, I kind of love it. It's sort of quite pop arty and cool. And these are the silver ones. Maybe not my cup of tea, but might be someone's. You never know. That's the other thing. I make jewellery that I love, but then we have a kind of tray here of jewellery which is sort of just stuff where we're messing around and making stuff, and we just sell it really cheaply at kind of 30 kunas, which is about a couple of quid each. And the things that people buy because they like it, they like the colours, are always different from what I like. So even if I don't like it, I put it in there. Kids love picking through it, they sort of love it. This one I adore. I mean, I'm such a big fan of this red reaction murrine. I'm just trying to find the pot of it if I can to sort of show you. It doesn't really show much of it, but it's like that. And it's such a pretty murrine. But this one's the one that hollow. You always get a kind of 1 or 2 hollows in 25 grams. Look at that. That's just amazing. I also love the strip construction where you get the reaction line along the edge and if you're kind of looking in, and I beveled the edges again, so you get a slight beveling and you can sort of see into the piece. And then this was one which was done, this was with turquoise, and this is one with glacier blue, where the reaction is so little you can hardly see it at all, and you can only see it if you tilt it at certain angles. And I haven't worked the edges, and you can just see a little bit of coal working makes all the difference. Now this one is the turquoise bottom with the aqua blue transparent top, and then these murrine on it, and then I've sort of taken off the edges and again done a bevel. You get a really nice reaction with the murrine on the 1408. And then this one is again the dense petrified wood with turquoise, and you get this sort of kind of 2-layered piece that on its side looks kind of cool. So quite a few of these I will now go in for a fire polish, and then I'm going to show you like how I drill and the grommets that I use to kind of finish off pieces of jewellery occasionally, and have a look at those and kind of see how I finish my pieces off. So now I fire polish them. Some of the jewellery I want to have it as double-sided because I feel it looks quite nice on both sides. For those I want to drill a hole and then put these grommets in so the jewellery can be worn either side. That's a grommet. They're quite big, those ones. They're kind of the gold ones. So I'm using a Dremel with very, very cheap drill bits. The problem with them is they go very quickly, and you're halfway through drilling and all the whatever, you know, is supposed to be on them to help drill is worn away within 3 seconds. So they're not ideal, but they do the job. I am the world's worst driller, guys. I'm, you know, more likely for the whole thing to go shooting across the glass than to be, you know, and scratch it, than to actually put the hole where I want it. But this is how I do it. Yes, if you've got one of the extender bits, use it. Don't put your drill like this in water. I know there's a small risk that water could get up into the drill, but it's really unlikely. The water's not flying everywhere. I'm very careful. Thank you for the people who comment and say, oh, you should do it that way. Yes, in an ideal world, if you have the extender bit, you should use it. Mine, it doesn't work. And I normally use a very big drill to drill my holes, but that doesn't really help the rest of you out there. So, first of all, I've marked a line where I'm going to drill. Then using this finger, I'm balancing the drill on it, and I'm going to come at an angle and get the drill onto the glass until it's got a sort of hole, until it's sort of bit into the glass and making a bit of a hole. Once it's got a sturdy hole there, then I'm going to bring this upright and carry on drilling, making sure that my drill bit is in properly. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to telling in advance, because when the drill's on and I'm concentrating doing it, I may not be able to talk so well. Okay, here we go. So it's got a good hole there. Now I'm moving it upright and I'm drilling straight down. Now they're quite big, these grommets, so I'm going to move it around to make the hole quite big. And I'm putting some pressure on the drill, but not a massive amount. Now you can see there's enough water, there's no dust going up, and it's keeping the drill bit nice and wet and cooler. Quick look how far through. I've still got quite a ways to go. This is obviously not the best drill bit. I'm also on a piece of glass, so that when I do go through, I'm not going to go into my plastic container below. Now I've got through, I'm going to flip it and come at it at this side, so I need to make it wider. Now you need to check every so often how much bigger you need to go for your grommets. These are really big grommets. So I need to carry on widening the hole. With the other ones, I think I'm going to use the smaller silver ones I've got. I've also dremeled needs to dremel the back. You need to sort of put a little bit of a kind of mark in the back so that the glue sticks better. So I literally just do that. And it gives a little bit of kind of gritty area for the glue to stick to, which is, means that your bales will stick better. So I'm using this glue. This is Araldite crystal 2-part epoxy glue. You mix equal parts together for about a minute. I've been mixing for a little bit over a minute. Once it's glued, I'm just going to take a clean, once it's mixed, sorry, even, I'm going to take a clean toothpick, and to do these, get a little bit of glue and kind of run it around the outside. And then these are called grommets. You can get them most on, you know, jewellery places if you just Google grommets. These are some gold ones. I thought these would look good with gold. These are quite big, these ones. They come in different sizes. These must be about 6 mil. That's a bit too much glue, I would say. And it is easier to do one, let it dry, and then put the other one in. Gotta say that, but I'm being quick here, so I'm just gonna put them both in. When it's nearly dry, you can go over it with a bit of rubbing alcohol to get any of the other glue off. And then these other ones, I'm literally just a little bit of glue where I've dremeled. And you've got to make sure that your bale also has some kind of texture on it. If it's got no texture or no dip in it, then you will need to kind of do a bit of dremeling on your finder as well. And then that's going on like that. And then you've got to keep an eye on things, guys, as they're drying. If it's not flat, they will slide off. So keep an eye on them as you're going. So the last one I want to show you is this, which is this basically is 3mm dense white with French vanilla powder tack fused to it, which I did use for another project. I've used it in sort of these ones as well. And it just gets such a nice reaction. So if you kind of need to make this in advance, just tack fuse a bit of, like, it's a stick to tack, so it's a very light, a 720 tack fusing quite a decent layer of French vanilla onto the dense white. And now I'm just cutting some strips that I'm going to place on the kiln shelf like so, with the kind of all the stuff facing the same direction. And then I'm going to put it against a piece, this is a piece of 4mm, because then I want to use some of these landscape lines that I've got. So I'm going to kind of put like that, and they're quite thin, they're probably not 3mm of glass, so to stop it kind of riding, you know, dog boning too much, I'm just using 4mm. So what I've got is these, this is our blue landscape lines, and these are some new sunset landscape lines that we just pulled. We do these landscape lines in kind of lots of different colours, and the nice thing about them is you can either use them this way, or you can actually cut using mosaic nippers and kind of, you know, use them this way. And actually I've got a fired sample here, and they kind of, these were quite thick chunky ones, but they're kind of cool when they far out. So in this instance I'm just going to put this like this, and it's not necessarily a kind of a full landscape, but it's just a sort of feeling of a landscape. This will fire, it's all going to kind of melt together. And again, I have a tile saw, so I'll cut off the edges. If you don't have a tile saw, you probably want to be a bit more even with your, and have it all sort of one shape, where you could even dam the edges if you wanted to. Well, I was showing you that idea of using the landscape lines and the dense vanilla and French white. I thought I'd show you our landscape lines because they're a fantastic product. They come in so many different colours. We've got kind of a blue, a red, aventurine, which is just limited stock, this brown, green, sand, the sunset one, and purple. And these are these dense white with French vanilla tack fused on them. I'm going to sell them in 50 gram bags. So a mix like this with the French vanilla and dense white will be £10.65 with PDV, £8.52 for those of you who don't have to pay the PDV. And if you don't want the French vanilla and dense white, you can get them just with these and make your own, and it would be £13.12 with for 50 grams of mixed without PDV, or £10.50, sorry, with PDV, or £10.50 without. But you'll be able to see all of that on the website, and there will be a link in the video. But look at these, they're fantastic. I just like literally put them on a piece of Tector. Well, actually there was sort of a half piece of Tector and half the strips like the other ones with these. So these are all made with those. This was a full piece of Tector, and I put the French vanilla and dense white strips upwards. This one was all the kind of off-cut bits I had. This was a bit of with scrap glass with a bit of the purple one and a red and an aventurine one. And this was the green and brown. And so I just sort of put them on a full fuse, let them melt like this, and I'm just going to do a bit of cold working on them and show you how they can come out after you finish cold working. So here we are, I've cut them up into various different things. Let's start at this end. So this was the all the kind of scraps, and I just think it's so pretty. Look, you open it up and you get a kind of little pattern bar, which I'm going to sort of melt together as a little pendant, and I'll melt that one together as well. That was the ends, that's just sort of simply bits of the ends, and we'll see what we get. But I think those are really cool. This I like. Now you kind of look at them and you think, am I going to do them, am I going to show it this way up or this way up? This one I think I'm going to have this way up because I like the kind of French vanilla and dense white effect there. But like some of these other ones, like this, where you've got the the kind of 6 mil of French white and dense white and French vanilla here, and then here you've got the kind of texture. It gives you kind of some depth. So I think I'll fire this one this way up, and I've same with this one. I'm going to fire that way up, and you've got a couple of earrings, pairs of earrings, which will also be fired that way up. This one I was kind of thinking, I'm like, should I refuse it together like this and turn it into a slightly kind of collage, or it could be a pendant and 2 earrings. I'm not sure. I think maybe a pendant and 2 earrings. I'm not so great on collage, but it's an idea. That's another kind of option you can do. And then here again you've got another couple of pendants. I quite like that one. Once these are done, you can or even at this stage you can think about maybe putting some decals on for the fire polish. I'll have a look what decals I've got and see, and then we'll come back to me. So this one out of the kiln is a disaster. So this is what I'm going to do with this. In the rubbish bin. Sometimes you just have to throw things away. These two, I drilled them. Now I'm going to show you, I've showed you grommets. I'm actually going to put these back in the kiln to fire polish the holes. So if you don't want to use grommets, they cost, particularly the silver ones, they're not, you know, they do cost something, and you want to make a kind of cheaper piece of jewellery, you can just put this in on a fire polish afterwards, and it will fire polish the hole nicely, and you just put a cheap hoop in it, and then it's a different piece of jewellery. Now these two, I thought we'd put some decals on. Now decals, you sort of just put them in water and get them wet until the decal floats off the backing paper. Now all decals come with instructions, including firing instructions. I'm not going to give you firing for this. Use the firing instructions on the decals, please. But basically you just want to wet it until the decal floats off the paper. I'm going to put this one in 2 now so that you can get both of them going. Ooh. Or curl up like that, and then you have to kind of manhandle it to get it under the water enough. I kind of like, you know, the kids' transfers, you know, those tattoos that my kids always have, and then in photographs have them in opportune times when I really don't want them tattooed. They work the same as that. You just want to get them wet enough to float off the paper. So here you can see it's sliding off, and then you just want to place it on here, and we've decided that this is a kind of sunset scene with our little elephant into the sunset, so like that, and you can move it around a little bit and place it as you want. And this one is sliding off, and again I'm going to decide, probably put this right down the bottom, and it fits there. Then they'll go back in the kiln on the firing schedule per the instructions on the decals. So here they are all done and finished. I'm kind of loving all the different types you can get, and there's so many different kind of options with reactions, from kind of very subtle reactions like on these pink ones, and with the only kind of little bit of reaction at the bottom on these landscape ones, to kind of much stronger reactions in these. Decals, this worked quite nicely. Unfortunately, this one I dropped it. Whoops. I obviously didn't like that one anyway. But I've got one here. In fact, I made this following a course I did with Claire Hall. If any of you have a chance to do a jewellery course with Claire Hall, grab it with both hands. Anyone in the UK, Claire Hall doing a jewellery course of hers. She's a phenomenal teacher, so really worth trying to do one of them. But this is just, you know, using landscape lines and a nice decal on a piece of kind of jewellery, which is cool. So we're going to put, after this there'll be the firing schedule, and we'll have a photograph of each kind of little one and the little recipes to go with them, so you can kind of see what we've done. But this is really about experimentation. You know, have fun. You're going to make some disasters, you're going to make some that go in the bin, but you're also going to make some really lovely ones. And you know, maybe have a look around and see if there's a local kind of studio near you that has a bit more equipment where you could go and use their tile saw and a grinder to zhuzh your jewellery up a bit and take it to the next level if you can. If not, having a round pendant like this one, it's no bad thing. It's pretty, it's fun, it's funky. So there are options. If you can't get that, just go with a round and embrace that. Embrace the fact that it's going to be that shape, and choose a pattern like this. or like these where it doesn't kind of matter and it's still going to look fantastic. I hope you've liked this video, and if you have, please subscribe.